Hello, I'm Misha, Adobe creator and producer of the Deep Dive podcast. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 13, and in honor of 13, we will be doing a deep dive into why the number 13 is unlucky. Okay, it looks like Grace and David have their snacks ready and are settled in behind the microphones. So let's get going.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a big one. The whole superstition around the number 13. Why is it considered so unlucky?
Yeah, it's everywhere, isn't it? And you sent us some really interesting articles digging into this.
Exactly. So our mission today is basically to unpack why this number gets such a bad rap. We're going to dive into the history, the culture, the psychology behind it all.
And right off the bat, I think the key thing to get is that it's not really about the number itself, is it? It's more like a collection of stories, historical moments, and, well, just the way our minds tend to connect dots.
Okay, so where do we start? Those historical roots seem like a good place. You mentioned Norse mythology from one of the articles.
Right, so you've got this story about a feast in Valhalla. 12 gods are there having a great time.
Sounds good so far.
Yeah, but then Loki, who wasn't invited, shows up. He's the 13th guest.
Ah, the uninvited 13.
Exactly. And his arrival just throws everything into chaos. It leads directly to the death of Balder, who's like the beloved god.
So right there, very early on, you get 13 linked with disruption, tragedy being the odd one out that causes trouble.
Precisely. And imbalance. And that theme, well, it pops up again, doesn't it, in a hugely influential story.
You mean the Last Supper?
Christianity. You have Jesus and the 12 apostles making 13 people at the meal.
And the 13th one is Judas, the betrayer.
Betrayer, yeah. So that powerfully links 13 with, betrayal, doom, really bad outcomes. Coming after the Norse myth, you've got these two massive pillars of Western thought basically saying 13 is trouble.
Wow. Okay, so chaos and betrayal right from the start. That's a heavy load for one number.
Right.
Did the articles mention other historical spots? Rome? Witches?
Yeah, it adds another layer. There was this belief, apparently, about witches gathering in covens, usually groups of 12.
Okay.
And the 13th member, often thought to be the devil himself.
Right, so that adds this whole supernatural, kind of malevolent angle to it as well.
Definitely. And then there's the Knights Templar connection. This one's interesting.
I saw that mentioned. Tell me more.
Well, it might be more linked to Friday the 13th specifically. Maybe not the number 13 in general as much, but it's still significant.
Okay.
King Philip V of France ordered the arrest of hundreds of Knights Templar on Friday, October 13th, 1307.
Friday the 13th. Wow.
Yeah. And it was brutal. Accusations, torture, executions. So that date, Friday the 13th, gets stamped with this historical memory of betrayal, persecution, and just, disaster.
So it's like these layers just keep building up over centuries. Ancient myths, religious narratives, historical events.
Exactly. It's like the number just kept accumulating bad press.
And we totally see the results of that today, don't we? In really practical ways.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about buildings. How many tall buildings just skip the 13th floor?
Right. It goes straight from 12 to 14 in the elevator. It's so common you almost don't notice it.
You don't. And it's not just buildings. Some airlines do the same thing. No row 13.
Seriously. I hadn't actually heard that one specifically, but it makes sense. Just avoiding it entirely.
It highlights how pervasive this avoidance is.
Yeah.
And it affects social stuff too, right? Like people actually hesitate.
Oh, like having 13 guests for dinner.
Yeah. Or at a wedding table. There's this lingering feeling that it might be bad luck, even if people don't consciously, fully believe it.
Trade in your boring job for a brilliant career using Adobe Creative Cloud. Start learning now with the free trial link in the description.
It's almost subconscious at this point. And then, of course, there's the big one, Friday the 13th itself.
Huge. It's become this cultural shorthand, hasn't it? A day for bad luck.
And the horror movies certainly haven't helped.
Not at all. If anything, they've massively amplified it, constantly reminding everyone that Friday the 13th is supposed to be spooky or dangerous. It just reinforces the superstition.
It really does. But one of the really fascinating points in the articles was that this isn't like a universal thing, right?
Not at all. And this is crucial. It really shows how much of this is cultural construction.
So what are some examples?
We'll take Italy. There. 13 is often considered lucky.
Really? Lucky?
Yeah. It's the number 17 they tend to avoid. That's their unlucky number.
Huh. So it completely flips depending on where you are.
Exactly. It tells you straight up, there's nothing inherently unlucky about the number 13. It's all about the meaning a culture assigns to it.
That's a great point. And it's similar in some East Asian cultures too, isn't it? But with a different number.
Right. The number 4 is often considered unlucky in places like China, Japan, Korea.
Why 4?
Because the pronunciation of 4 in languages like Mandarin and Japanese sounds very similar to the word for death.
Ah, okay, so it's a linguistic association driving the superstition there.
Precisely. Again, it shows that number symbolism is completely dependent on cultural and linguistic context, not universal at all.
Okay, so if it's not baked into the number itself and it varies by culture,
Mm-hmm.
what keeps it going, psychologically speaking? Why is 13 so sticky for us in the West?
Well, there's a lot going on in our brains. Humans are, pattern-seeking machines. We're constantly trying to find connections, explanations, especially for why bad things happen.
We got order, predictability.
Exactly. And superstitions like avoiding 13 can give us this illusion of control. If I avoid 13, maybe I can ward off bad luck.
It's a way to manage anxiety about the unknown.
Mm-hmm. And then our cognitive biases kick in hard.
Like confirmation bias.
Absolutely. If something bad does happen on the 13th or involves the number 13 somehow, we remember it vividly. It sticks out.
See, I knew it was unlucky.
Right. But we completely forget all the, countless times the 13th came and went without any incident whatsoever. We selectively remember the hits and ignore the misses.
That makes so much sense. We filter reality to fit the belief.
And that reinforces the superstition over and over again in our own minds.
But, the articles also mention people who actively push back against this.
Yeah, which is also really interesting. You've got people who embrace it.
Like Taylor Swift, right? She considers 13 her lucky number.
Exactly. Born on the 13th, uses it everywhere. It shows how personal experience or just deciding to flip the script can override a cultural superstition.
And athletes, too. Didn't one of the articles mention a basketball player?
Yeah, Wilt Chamberlain famously wore number 13,
Mm-hmm.
and he was, one of the greatest players ever. So much for being unlucky.
That's a great example. Just defied it completely. It's a reminder that it is just a number.
It is. And mathematically, it's actually interesting, too. It's a prime number.
Yeah.
Unique in its own way, separate from any superstition.
Right. Okay, one more angle the articles touched on was numerology. How does that fit in?
Well, numerology looks for like mystical significance in numbers. And in that system, the number 12 is often seen as really important. Represents completeness, harmony.
How so?
Think about it. 12 months in a year, 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 hours on a clock face, 12 apostles, 12 tribes of Israel. It's everywhere as this number of, perfect order.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see that.
So within that framework, 13 becomes the number that comes after completeness. It's seen as disrupting that harmony, upsetting the perfect balance.
So it's unlucky because it breaks the pattern of 12.
Kind of, yeah. It's the awkward extra one that doesn't quite fit the established perfect system. Another reason to view it with suspicion if you're looking at it through that lens.
Okay, so pulling all these threads together, it seems like the unluckiness of 13 isn't down to any one single thing.
Not at all. It's this real melting pot, isn't it?
You've got the Norse myths, the Last Supper story, laying this really old groundwork of negativity.
Mm-hmm. Chaos and betrayal.
Then maybe the Knights Templar adding fuel to the fire, especially for Friday the 13th.
Trade in your boring job for a brilliant career using Adobe Creative Cloud. Start learning now with the free trial link in the description.
Yeah, that specific historical trauma.
Plus these numerological ideas about 12 being complete and 13 being disruptive.
Right, the idea of imbalance again.
And underpinning it all is our own psychology, wanting patterns, fearing the unknown, and remembering the stuff that confirms our fears.
Exactly. It's a fascinating blend of culture, history, and how we think. It's a superstition built over centuries, layer by layer, entirely culturally constructed.
So for everyone who's sent in those sources, wondering why this number seems to have such power, hopefully this deep dive has helped connect some of those dots.
And it leaves us with a pretty interesting thought, doesn't it? If the unluckiness isn't inherent in the number, and it's different across cultures, what does the fact that this superstition still persists tell us?
You mean about us?
Yeah, about maybe our deep-seated need to create stories, to find meaning, or even just scapegoats when things happen that we can't explain. Is the bad luck really in the number 13, or is it, just in the stories we keep telling ourselves about it?
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive. I'm Misha, and let me send out a huge thank you for listening. If you want more content on gaming, education, or other fun stuff, head over and find me on YouTube. Link is in the show notes. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next deep dive.